His Excellency Bishop Joseph Strickland. Always good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for being here. The president talking about ending anti-faith, anti-Christian bigotry, taking action this week. Your reaction, sir?
Well, thank you, Tom. I think beautifully it is a logical next step, a logical part of what this administration is doing, thankfully. I've heard it described as a return to common sense. And that common sense isn't as common in the world as it should be, but we need to return to truth and to the light of revelation that God has offered us. As Christians, we know that Jesus Christ is truth incarnate. And so I am very pleased that President Trump is taking these steps and making it clear that anti-Christian bias, which is very real, is not appropriate in this great nation and needs to be dealt with. I do hope that President Trump will go deeper into the ancient Christian roots. That certainly, I'm a bit biased, but I know the truth that the Catholic Church is where Christianity originated and continues to be the font with all the struggles that we're facing. And I'm pleased that President Trump is exposing some of that corruption, even in the Catholic Church and in Christianity in other denominations. But we can never be fearful of the truth. And thankfully, President Trump isn't, and he's working hard to bring us back to that path of truth that we desperately need as a nation.
Yeah, well, you want to talk about common sense and truth. Also, he signed the executive order and about keeping men out of women's sports and spaces this week. The NCAA pushing back against and saying and reversing course on that policy, saying that they will no longer allow men and women's sports and spaces. A huge victory for both truth and common sense. The president announcing a new White House Office of Faith that is going to work in tandem with a presidential task force. He established that by executive order. That's going to focus on rooting out anti-Christian bias in the federal government and making policy recommendations to the president to deter such bigotry. Your Excellency, if you were on that task force, what would you flag day one as being the type of thing that they should really focus on, particularly when it comes to government infringement on religious liberty?
Well, I'd have to flag day one all the threats to the sanctity of life that certainly is abortion, but these things that President Trump is already dealing with, the gender mutilations and all of that, is a threat to the sanctity of life. That is as foundational as it gets. And the faith office needs to be very clear that anything that threatens life from conception to natural death, certainly abortion is preeminent, that there are many consequences of not seeing life as sacred that we're seeing played out in the past years in our society. Many of the things that President Trump is dealing with. The immigration issue is yet another issue of the sanctity of the life of human beings. And when the unborn aren't protected, then no one is really protected. So I think that really focusing on every issue of just looking through that lens, is this a question of not respecting the life of individuals from conception to natural death?
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.